Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 371 of the 365 Message Center show. This week, we have several messages. Of those, I wanted to highlight, we're going to be able to import email files into Outlook, into the new Outlook. We're going to talk about that. Microsoft Designer. How many of you use Microsoft Designer? I sure do. Well, getting some changes with Microsoft Designer. Is it good? Is it bad? Well, stick around. We'll talk about it. And then finally, Microsoft Purview. Wouldn't it be great if you could do some personalization within the Purview interface the way you want it to be? Well, you're in luck. That and more. Stick around. Episode 371.
Wouldn't it be great? Well, you might say it would be perfect.
Oh, I might say that.
Would be my
I don't know
view,
if I might say that, but you might say that. Welcome, everybody. Thank you for being here. Make sure you give us comments as you go through and you're listening to this show on YouTube. Make sure you throw comments down below. I'd love to hear your feedback. We love seeing those comments on every episode. If you're listening audio podcasts while you're walking or while you're exercising or while you're riding into work, send us a message on all the socials that matter at 365 MCS. If you're driving and listening, then just pull over every time you have a thought that you want to share. Pull over, send it on the social, and then get back on the road. And you just keep doing that.
Daniel,
I'm sure
I need
it'll
to
make
add
your...
a couple more modes of transport to your list there. If you're on a one wheel, then I would like you to have a balanced views, and with your points as you're responding. If you're on a yacht, then good for you. Why are you listening to this right now? Wait till you get back to shore, for goodness sake. Just enjoy the water.
Okay. And if you're skydiving, then you probably should be paying attention to what is your wristwatch thing
Your
that
altimeter.
shows you, to show you when you're supposed to pull the parachute. So, but then you can listen because you'll float down, so you can listen to the rest of the episode. All right, enough of that craziness. Let's jump into this episode 371. And first up is Daryl's going to talk to us about importing some email files, right, Daryl?
I am, and it's good news because it is yet another feature coming to new Outlook for Windows. So you'll be pleased to know that you'll be able to bulk import EML files, and this is MC1028988. In the green room before, when we were preparing this, I did joke, and I think of a few people in my past, IT managers, who find the cheap route for doing things. Migrations. Get users to do it. Do it. They'll do it. That's fine. Well, if you do want to get users to do it, migrate their mail from EML files in a folder structure. Imagine that you've output it to a folder structure and you've got your messages in there, and maybe your folder structure in File Explorer mirrors what you have in email. Well, you'll be able to use this ability to say, go to that folder that is my inbox, pull in all the email files, and drop them into my live inbox using the new Outlook. What you won't be able to do is say, just go to that top level folder and work your way through all the subfolders. All right, so that's not a feature. It is folder by folder. But it is nice to see this as a method for bringing email in from another source. Daniel, is there anything else you'd want to add to that?
I don't think so. I think you covered it. I mean, I think that gotcha that you mentioned about it not going through all the folders that that house those email files. You have to do one folder at a time, and that could be a good thing if you're importing these into separate folders or a different architecture. That would be helpful. It really would be helpful if you said no. import all of the files in those specific folders and just create those folders in my inbox as well, that would be helpful. But that's not what's happening here. So, yeah.
Yeah, well, and if you want to follow those steps too, there's a link to the support article. When is this available? Its general availability will begin rolling out mid-March, which is today. I can call it today. It's the 14th of March, but it's 15th over here. And complete by late March. Let's move over, Daniel, to, I guess, an update in the Copilot space, the continuing story or saga around Pay-as-you-go.
Yeah, I don't feel like this saga is ever going to end. MC1028998. Introduction of Copilot Pay-as-you-go feature in Microsoft 365 Admin Center. Now it says M365 Admin Center, but I expanded that. So we've talked about this before, not just with Copilot, but with other Pay-as-you-go, but with Copilot as well, about, using this and enabling it and everything and how you have to do that. All this is doing, what we're talking about here, is that they're bringing it into the M365 Admin Center to be able to set it up and manage it under Copilot. So it has its own section there, versus having to go to the Power Platform Admin Center and setting that up. We even talked about it as being odd that we had to do it that way. No, this is setting it up in the Admin Center. You do have to be an admin of certain roles to be able to do this, global admin, AI admin, to be able to set this up. But once you do, then it'll be available for your users to do sign up for Pay-as-you-go. All right. That's it. This is not really new functionality. This is just bringing it into another place where it probably should have been in the first place. Just saying, but now that we have it, it's great. So just a quick mention. Daryl, I want to say this will not be a quick mention. I don't think.
Okay.
I think we're going to have a good conversation on this one.
Yeah.
Tell us about, I don't know how to put this. I don't want to ruin the surprise, but tell us a little bit about Copilot co-opting some functionality with Designer.
Very good. For your cooperation on that one, Daniel. Microsoft Designer will be part of Microsoft 365 Copilot MC1031286. Let's think first of all about, the details here. Microsoft Designer, there's messages specifically talking about its role within the PowerPoint app. And you probably have come across this if you've created a PowerPoint in the last few years. As you're creating something, you might get this panel that pops up and makes some suggestions to change or offer layouts in different ways to represent your pictures, your text, and it'll have some helpful guidance there. I personally, it pops up, and very rarely do I use its suggestions. I'm quick to say, stop showing me this as I'm working on this document right now. Very nice. Now, with that feature, if you want to trigger that off again, you can go into the ribbon and you can find it there as a way of going back in and getting some of that advice again if you change your mind. How does this relate to Microsoft 365 Copilot? Well, what is changing here is the feature is going to be shifted, or rather duplicated, underneath the Microsoft 365 Copilot button in PowerPoint. And you'll go there and say, I want some design help. And that'll be one way to trigger it off. Now, it's going to be there for Microsoft 365 Copilot licensed users. Of course, if you don't have that license, you're not going to see that Copilot logo there in PowerPoint to use that. But it will still be available on the ribbon, the classic, can't call it a classic ribbon, the usual ribbon. Yeah. And it took some time for us, Daniel and I, to read through this and try and decipher, really, what is actually changing here. For regular people who aren't using Copilot, they can continue to use it the way they have. For those who do have Copilot, it'll be shifted underneath the Copilot button. They can still find it where it's always been. Now, that's not really the whole story, we feel, because, Daniel, we saw something similar happen to another PowerPoint feature that shifted to Copilot. What was that one?
Yeah, the summary. I think if you look at the way things happen, it seems like Copilot, they're bringing in functionality into Copilot and making it part of the product, and then could be eliminating like they have previously, like you mentioned, that functionality for free, or people who don't have the Copilot license is, I guess, the way I should put it. This seems like, I don't know, the way I was telling Daryl, if I'd bet $2, which is, that's a lot of money these days. I'd bet $2, and sometime in the future, I don't know.
It's the price of an egg, isn't it, Daniel?
Yeah, half an egg. Sometime in the future, maybe not near future, but maybe not in the near future, but this functionality will be rolled up in Copilot, and you'll have to pay for Copilot to be able to use Designer and get those ideas for your slides. I don't like that, because it is a functionality that we have been using for a long time. Whether you like it as a end product kind of thing, meaning I click the button, yes, that's exactly, it always gives me the right answer. For me, that's not the case, but sometimes it does give you a little bit of prompt in your mind of, I could do that differently, right? And then I could take it and do some more with it. So I think it's good functionality. Them bringing this into Copilot for Copilot users seems like maybe an intermediary step, right, Daryl? Okay, we're going to keep it there, but for Copilot users, it's going to be under Copilot. Great. So that would make it really easy then in the future to just say, if you're not a Copilot user, it's going to be removed. So anyway, $2, Daryl, $2.
$2. I raise you $2. See your $2 rather, and raise you another $2. I think that's how it works. Maybe this as an intermediary step. Let's hope it's not about removing it for people who aren't paying for Copilot, but maybe it's a way of introducing other Copilot-driven designer features into products that will only be available to Copilot. Microsoft 365 Copilot users. We've got to say that these days, Daniel. We've got to be full, because
there's so many of them.
So many people that to say, hey, I've got Copilot. Well, yes, but no. Anyway, so that's our take on it. This is just a change that's happening to reposition things. Functionally, doesn't really change how it works, but we think that it is an indication of what's to come. So when will this change happen? At general availability, the change will happen in the the next 3 builds, because this is talking about PowerPoint software, and that is the 365 Copilot for Windows Desktop build, which will be released on the 31st of March. This is build, let's just say the last sort of few digits. Oh, look, I'm not going to read the digits out. You can see them on screen. Audio listeners, if there's any other type of listeners,
just
know it's 31st of March.
Yeah, just know it's the one that's released 31st of March.
Yeah, and the same thing for Mac, planned to be released on the 31st of March, and will be coming soon to Copilot for Microsoft 365 Copilot for the web, which I take that to mean PowerPoint Online as part of the Microsoft 365 Copilot suite. Microsoft, I hope I'm doing a great job here in representing your naming of suites and products.
And filling in the blanks for
Yeah.
where it doesn't actually say anything. Yep.
So let's continue on, Daniel. It is over to you around personalizing this next message.
Oh, I don't know about that. Let me see if I can. Microsoft Purview, new personalization settings, MC10300008. So one thing that, for those of you that have been using Microsoft Purview, the new interface, right? What you have seen is, my experience, you go in and look at a solution. Maybe you're going in and you take a look at, DLP, or you're looking at, whatever, right? And it starts putting those solutions on the left-hand navigation for you. Great, but maybe I want stuff to just be there. It's been kind of wonky, to be honest, of when I go and it puts a solution over there, puts them in different order. Anyway, I don't like it. Well, one thing I now am going to be able to do with it, what they're announcing, is be able to pin solutions there for me. So even if I haven't gone there to that solution just yet, I can go ahead and pin it on the left-hand side in the navigation. You'll be able to also toggle that solution bar to, for it not to be visible. You'll be able to show walkthroughs for solutions for, those different Purview solutions. And also be able to just delete all of your personalizations and go back to the way it was. So I like this one for that, for being able to make it my own and make it and pin those solutions, just like you can do things like, or pinning in Teams, right? You can pin those apps on the rail. We're going to be able to do that in Purview for these solutions. So check it out. I mean, the message is, this is a quick one for us where, there's not much to it other than that, being able to pin those solutions and those walkthroughs and everything on for you. So that's how it's personalization is happening. The rollout is happening for public preview. If you enabled that late March 2025, completed by late April. So it's taking a good month, which is very interesting. I didn't think it would take that long, but it apparently does. General availability worldwide, beginning late April 2025, expected to be early June 2025 for everyone. Daryl, I want to learn more Copilot because you know what? I feel like maybe we don't talk about Copilot as much. Maybe we need to start talking about it. It seems pretty popular. So tell me about using Copilot in Loop, sir.
Yeah, well, I can do that. This is going to be a useful feature for those teams that are contributing to workspaces and getting work done. It is Microsoft Look. Like this is a side comment here. Daniel, I'm going to talk about this. Look at this title. Microsoft Copilot, Microsoft 365. Let's just put a big red line through that and say it's called Microsoft 365 Copilot. That's how it was referred to with all the other messages. We know what we're talking about. Let's use the same name. People. Recapping changes in Loop over extended periods. This is MC1032295. When you're working in a Loop workspace with team members, sometimes you want to see what has changed on this page. And there is little visual ways to detect that and see it. I can see a dot beside a block and it shows that something's changed here. And if I click into it, I can see attribution about who has contributed to a sentence, and I can basically work back and see that was changed yesterday, but Daniel changed this morning, and I can see that kind of change. If you wanted to see that all wrapped up in a nice bow to say, hey, Copilot, what has changed on this page? How has Daniel contributed to this? What value has he brought? Now, I might be able to find a good way of answering the first part of the question. The second part of offering value, between you and me, I think, well, let's just say that Daniel always offers value. Did I do a good save there?
Oh, that's kind of nice.
I did, yeah, okay. So Copilot Chat, you're opening it up in the Loop experience like you can across the other Microsoft 365 apps. Goes without saying, but we do say it anyway, you do need a Microsoft 365 Copilot license to use this feature. There we go. Down the right-hand side, we've got the panel, and we can ask questions like, what has changed on this page? What has changed in the last day? Can you tell me what a certain person in my team has changed and made available? Now, it'll come back, give you a little rundown. We had an example of one somewhere here, which I might just throw up on screen a bit later in post. But it showed, here's the things that have been added to this table, and it helps us see that. Does it sound familiar to some of you? Well, maybe the recap feature for those of you who have been using Loop. You might have clicked on that and wondered, I wonder what that's for. And you can click on it, and you're supposed to be able to leave a little note for your fellow contributors, collaborators, co-authors, co-creators. Get on with it. This, I think, is doing a much better job than the recap feature. So I would say, it's useful, it's helpful. It's still also personalized as you are creating or using Copilot to say, tell me what's changed. That's your question. The response comes back to you. You know what's changed. But it's not letting the rest of the team know. They have to go through and ask that question. And if they don't have Copilot, well, as we say here in New Zealand, tough bickies. Yeah, I know. We have colloquialisms like that. There's another code word. So there's still a reason for using the recap feature. Maybe copy and paste that text into the recap, make it available for the rest of your team members that don't have a Microsoft 365 Copilot license. When is this going to be available? Generally available, rolling out middle of March. That's now. Complete by early April 2025. And we don't need to recap that, Daniel. I think that is actually the end of the show.
Yes, it is. Thank you, everybody, for watching and listening. Please remember to give us a thumbs up on the video in YouTube. If you're listening on an audio podcast platform, there's going to be a way to rate the show. Give us 5 stars or 5 thumbs up or whatever it is. I'd love to hear your feedback in comments, as well as hitting us up on socials at 365 MCS on all the socials that matter.
And lastly, we'll say that you matter, listener. Yes, you do.
Indeed.
Listener, watcher. Thank you for tuning in. Again, keep dropping those comments below, and we'll see you again next week. Bye for now.
Bye-bye.